Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile, the podcast where we walk home from the movies. We're not walking to the cinema today. We're going to watch a Netflix film called Scoop, which is a dramatisation of the 2019 Newsnight interview with Prince Andrew that went viral and that we all saw and was quite something.
I never watched the full interview though. I just watched snippets.
Same. I watched the highlights. But this is
at the time we were living quite near Woking, so there was a bit of a thrill with the whole Woking Pizza Hut.
Pizza Express.
Express. Yeah.
Woking Pizza Express. Just a baffling, it's a baffling interview, a baffling story, and the fallout of that was him retreating from public life. So massive, misjudged interview. Massive scoop as the show as the movie
it's an interesting
outlines.
one though, because I am interested to see it, and the reason we're going to watch it is because everyone's talking about it, and it's right there on our tellies, which is handy. But is it a scoop or was it just
well, I don't know. I actually don't know the ins and outs of how it came to pass, but I think that's what this movie is going to tell us, right?
Yeah, it's a good time to watch it because obviously the royal family.
They've just gone through another PR disaster.
Their press offices or their communications or whoever the hell manages them is like a complete joke, given all the stuff they've done with the Kate Middleton, like how poorly they handled all that Kate Middleton stuff. The fact that they let this interview ever go out. There's obviously some terrible people working in there. I think they all have the blinkers on.
But
I also think the royal family themselves probably just a bit terrible.
Yeah, just completely lacking in self-awareness and perspective, and
no self-awareness
detached.
Anywhere. It's all nonsense. Coming at this from an Irish point of view, apologies to our British listeners who may be monarchists. The whole thing is absurd when you're outside of it, right? So I'm interested to see how this gets behind it, and if it sheds any light.
Yeah. So starring Billie Piper, Gillian Anderson, and Rufus Sewell, who looks to be heavily made up to look like Prince Andrew.
So we will be back after we've watched it.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
An hour of television can change everything.
3 women and a whippet. Wouldn't have seen that in a BBC studio when I started.
The allegations surrounding Jeffrey Epstein include his friend Prince Andrew.
Sam, let's start pushing the palace. I want it for us.
You're chasing a story that we're never going to get.
This is the work. My job is booking the people we can't just call up.
Hello, everyone.
You have a problem that won't go away.
We're looking at options. But there is a red line. I've never been smuggled into a palace before.
If I do an interview, the question is, why you?
With respect, you know how people see you.
Spell it out.
Brandy, Andy.
Hi, we're back. Now we have now seen Scoop on Netflix. If it's your first time at the Cinemile, we won't spoil the movie, but if you lived in the world in 2019, then perhaps this has already been spoiled for you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about... we will spoil it in full details when we turn onto Spoiler Street. But before that, Kathy, what did you think of the movie Scoop?
It felt more like a TV movie.
Yeah.
I know it's on Netflix and it's a movie, and what's a TV movie mean anymore, but it felt like a TV movie.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. It felt like an extended episode of a TV show, I guess. I certainly was riveted by it. I half thought I might kind of watch half of it tonight and half of it tomorrow night, and then no, I did finish it all. I thought I found, we love behind the scenes journalism stuff.
Yes.
So I find
big time.
that interesting. We both worked in TV. Dave actually worked on a show in Ireland called Ireland AM where he used to book guests, and
which is the role that Billie Piper's character.
Yeah.
And it's based on that woman's book about these events, right?
So
called
it's
Scoop.
Very heavily from her perspective,
Yeah.
right? So we'll say that. I think it's a bit skewed because apparently there's a different one now that Emily Maitlis is making.
Oh, okay.
Is it Maitlis or Maitlis?
Maitlis. I don't know how to say her name.
Apparently she's making a different one, which I presume doesn't cast the Booker as the central hero. So I'd say I'll take it with a bit of pinch of salt that the Booker was like the driving force behind the whole thing.
Yeah.
Who knows where the truth lies? Anyway,
The guest
I
Booker.
found it compelling. I think it's good that they just focus on the interview and not much else, because I think it's kind of shallow in its approach to other elements. So I think it knew its own strengths. I think it's very disappointing to see a film or a TV film or whatever the hell this is, where they touch on Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew, but they don't really tell us what's going on and they don't really comment on it. And I think that's a shame. It's almost like, I mean, this is really just replicating an interview that most of us have already seen or seen some clips of, so it feels a bit lazy to me in that sense. I would have much rather see them explore all of that murkiness. I think it portrays Prince Philip as a fool, like an absolute... Prince Andrew, I get mixed up between them all, as a complete fool and a buffoon, but I don't think it really portrays him as a sexual predator, which is what he is, right? So he's like best mates with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, we should say it's what he is allegedly.
Sorry, he's allegedly a sexual predator.
I don't want to get sued.
Who paid someone off millions of pounds.
Yes, they settled out of court.
Which is what all innocent people do.
That is a fact.
So I don't like the tone of it. Just painted him as a buffoon. It painted this booker as some sort of like hero, when in fact she's not really done any journalism work. She's just booked a guest, which is really interesting. But like the journalism work is done by the photographer who we see in the very beginning. He broke
careful!
It.
That's he's a paparazzi.
But he broke it though. He broke the story of Jeffrey Epstein and Prince.
Yes.
What's his name?
Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein.
Andrew, yeah. So I don't know. I think it made. I'm so sorry, and I know loads of our friends are bookers. Dave's been a booker. I think it just completely overblew the whole booker thing, and it was just fantastical from her perspective.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think this film is very good. I think it is gripping and compelling. And I wanted to continue watching it just because the interview itself is so still just fascinating. It's like watching a car crash.
Like, how did this get signed off?
Exactly. But I think the behind the scenes stuff leading up to how it all came about isn't particularly interesting. And that is the sort of the center focus of this movie, and the I think the way it characterizes as you say, the guest booker who Billie Piper plays, I found incredibly lame.
And I know she was a producer on it, by the way, so she's involved in the making of it.
Yeah, exactly. It just felt really like tropey, unrealistic, and maybe this is exactly how it went down. Now, the movie itself has a title card which says a lot of the elements of this have been fictionalized, but I just felt like this movie felt like somebody recounting a story in which they're the absolute hero and nobody listened to them.
Exactly, just unrealistic.
And they knew them. They knew everything from the start. And I found Billie Piper's character, who again I don't know this. She's based on a real woman who wrote the real story, and maybe this is all true. And I don't know her. And I'm not impugning her character, but as this movie is presented, I found her very frustrating. The movie tries to also introduce, humanize her by introducing her son and her mom and her home situation, and a whole subplot with her son like being interested in a girl and her being a mother. But it's just like, and I found all that just like completely one-dimensional.
Like, one of the most fascinating
and tagged
things
on
in this film is nearly off screen when like very quickly he says, "Mummy," aka the Queen. "Mummy said she trusts me to do the interview." That's fascinating.
Yeah.
How out of touch is the Queen? How out of touch are their press people? And
well, he's her favourite
it.
child. They keep saying that.
And like obviously he's been enabled his entire life to be despicable. So I absolutely believe she'd have said that. But I care about that. I'm not interested in like this character and her son getting the bus somewhere. Like,
exactly.
And it's not to say I'm not interested in them as people. It's to say that in the context of this story, you're talking about the Queen Mother over here, and you're talking about someone I've never heard of before over here, and like, which one am I going to be more interested in?
Well, exactly. But the truth of like what they had in terms of like what they can adapt and where the facts lie and what is true lies with what we all saw on an interview.
And that was fascinating.
Which is the most interesting thing, but is available right now on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so so seeing that has no inherent value.
I think the value though is like the value to me, and I hadn't quite realised this, that the interview was like pre-recorded and then the royal family
I did know that because there was a oh right, okay.
So like the fact that it was because I had thought it must have been live to get out and for it to The fact that they signed off on all that stuff.
But that's exactly the thing that is most interesting about this whole thing, is just how out of touch the Prince Andrew, the monarchy, and their press office and everyone who lives in this palace is. And I think the movie does do a good job of sort of presenting that complete lack of perspective.
And like, he still doesn't seem to think that he really needs to distance himself from Jeffrey Epstein. He doesn't seem to get it.
No, like exactly the Keely Hawes plays his sort of press officer. I don't know, is that a real character or a real person?
They make, if she's a real person, they've made her out to be such an idiot.
Yeah, like someone who just believes that, like, if you just is so institutionalized and has such reverence for Prince Andrew, and he like that believes that if you just stick him in front of a camera and let him be himself, that the whole nation will just fall in love with him. What really happens is he gets on camera and he is himself.
He does that, you know, that
which
expression.
is just completely out of touch.
You know that American expression, but I really like it sometimes. It applies here. He gets on and he shows his whole ass.
Well, exactly.
That's what he does.
And you know, there is a good line in this towards the end. Let's go to spoilers now. Spoilers. I don't necessarily recommend this movie before we go to spoilers.
I don't recommend it, no.
I think just go watch the interview. I don't think it does a particularly great job of portraying anything interesting here. I think and also to Kathy's point, which I agree with, the movie has nothing to say. Nothing.
It has no perspective.
No, exactly. It doesn't take any position on any of this. It's just literally like a woman wrote a book about what happened and they turned it into a TV movie.
And I just don't think you should make a movie like this without a perspective. And like, Rufus Sewell is so good playing the prince.
Oh yeah, everyone's good. Gillian Anderson, good.
He's not even given enough to do. And I think Gillian Anderson, and I love her, I just didn't find her particularly.
She doesn't have much to do either. Yeah, I know. Like, so spoilers now for the movie Scoop. We're going to take a quick break. You might hear an ad. Okay, so the thing I was referencing towards the end of this movie, which highlights what you just said about him showing his whole ass.
I heard that recently.
You know, there's a moment where they're all gathered around and they say, kind of, you know, great job. You know, we did it. You know, we let him show himself or something. I can't remember the exact line.
Emily Maitlis did such a good job because she was very gentle in her interview, because they knew they could never spook him. He needed to think he was being charming. He needed to think he was in control.
Yes.
And that's fascinating.
And I
think her as an interviewer and how she handled it, like, I don't know that many other people could have gotten that.
Exactly. And she did a great job. And you can see that on the YouTube clip. But this movie would have you believe, and maybe this is true, I don't know, but this movie presents it as if
it was all the
Billy Piper's guest booker is all like, I need to be in that room and they won't let me in. Why won't they let me in?
Trying to do this whole underdog story and like, Emily, I know you've been doing this job for 40 years, but let me tell you how you should handle the interview.
Let me give you some advice. And then she gives the crucial bit of advice, which changes the way Emily approaches the whole interview.
You know what we have to do now? We have to watch what Emily Maitlis is making, and then we have to compare notes.
Oh, is that being made into a thing as well?
Yeah, and she's like producing it.
Oh my God, okay.
There's another one being made.
Oh no, we have to do all this
and
again.
I think, I would imagine it's a rebuttal to this.
I'd love if the guest booker's not even in it. There is no guest booker. It's just like, the palace reached out and they want to do an interview. Emily, do you want to do it?
No, but she is a booker, and they put a tweet up at the end that must have happened where they tweeted and credited to her.
Oh, that was so lame. There's so many cringe, embarrassing things in this. When she's looking at the wall of tweets and then she's like, wow. And then she goes home on the bus and she's looking around it like, we did it.
No, but in fairness, like
the end of Ocean's 11.
Yeah, but like in fairness, like she did book it. That's factually correct. It's a huge...
Oh, sure.
interview.
I'm just saying, I thought it
was
was just embarrassing.
I didn't think it was embarrassing. I just thought, like, I liked her character. I always like a character who's like different from everyone else. She obviously is different. They were saying you're not like you should be in the BBC. She's challenging the status quo. All that. I just don't believe that she impacted Emily Maitlis' interview.
Yeah, I don't either. I just don't either. And maybe it did happen. I just don't believe it. So.
And even if it did, I feel like, and this is probably an issue where she's producing on it, I think even if it did, I think you need to step back and be like, this is a story as well, and like, one character is getting too much screen time and one character is getting too much credit. Yeah. And like, you could just leave that out and let Emily Maitlis' character, Gillian Anderson, been like, I need to go softly with him. I need to, like, do you know what I mean?
We should also say that it's possible that is never even written in her book, and it's a complete fabrication by the people that adapted this. So, but look, those were the choices that were made, and I'd understand that when you're adapting real life or books or anything, you have to make choices for the format in which you're presenting it in. But I thought all the choices here are not interesting. This is a very linear A to B to C story that leans on boring old tropes, that doesn't feel very realistic, that presents no interesting new perspective.
And nothing from the victim's perspective. And I think if you leave a victim perspective out, and there were very many victims across all these men, they allude to things like flight logs and they show pictures of girls going into Jeffrey Epstein's house, but like, it's so tangential to the movie as opposed to being like at the core of the movie. And I think fundamentally the movie feels so self-indulgent, because it's like, look how amazing this booker is, she booked this, and it's like, yeah, but look how horrific he is and Jeffrey Epstein are, and like, what are we celebrating here? Like I know at the end it says like, oh, he stepped back from royal duties, but he's still in the monarchy. Like, well, he's still a millionaire, if not billionaire. He's still collecting money from the public. He's a despicable person. What are we celebrating? Like, well, fine, he stepped back from some royal duties. That's it. Like,
but I would say,
put him behind bars, then we'll celebrate.
But I think look, whatever about, I would think this movie does celebrate the fact that good journalism was performed here, and it can have an impact on the world, and it did. To your point, it is not, no real justice has been served here, but they put a chink in the armor of a very ancient and tied up, like, embedded institution in Britain that is protecting a likely sex offender.
Like the way that, like, sorry, but the way the British press comes after Meghan Markle and Harry.
It's despicable.
And like, look at what this guy was doing.
Despicable.
Enabled by the whole structure.
100%.
And like, it's so absurd how it all, and that's why I love this interview, and I think it does need to be celebrated.
But he's also so full of shit.
It just displayed the absolute, how fucked up British society is, that they would treat Meghan Markle like she's some sort of a serial killer, and meanwhile this guy just scurries off to his corner and like gets removed from a few royal duties, and it's all a bit quiet again.
And he's so full of shit. His whole story, even in the interview, about, I flew out to Jeffrey Epstein to break up with him in person because it's the right thing to do, and then I had nothing else to do with him.
And then
how come you stayed in his house then and had a celebration dinner in your honor? It's just like he can't even like fabricate his own bullshit story that's believable. Instead, he relies on, made up injuries in which he can't sweat. And I remember being in a Pizza Express in Woking. Like, it's just absurd. But again, all of this is available in real life. This movie has nothing to add, nothing to say. But I do respect the journalism that was done in real life, and the movie at least is acknowledging.
And I do respect the booker, by the way. We're not disparaging her. I
think
it's amazing. It's just, it's absurd that the whole film acts like that's every single part of the story.
Exactly.
In its totality.
Exactly. She did some good work behind the scenes.
They all did. Of other people, like, and they're just kind of back characters. I'm like, but all of these people will have been doing loads of work, prepping them all. I love the scenes when they're doing the mock interviews, the two of them side by side, because I love that stuff.
Oh, that was quite well done, to the movie's credit.
Yeah. And he's trying to. She's correcting his language. Like, she does prep him a bit, his person.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we've been very negative about Scoop for something that we did watch and enjoy.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. Yeah. That's the thing. This isn't bad.
It's just it could be so much better.
It's the musical biopic route where you're just like, here's a thing that happened.
I don't think it should be called
and now
Scoop.
We're going to do it.
Because I don't think the interview told anyone anything they didn't already know. I think what it should be called is like Gotcha. Like, we got you on camera being a complete buffoon.
No, but they deliberately.
They
deliberately say in the movie, they're like, we don't want to go for a gotcha. We don't want to. We just let him hang himself.
No, but I'm saying that the movie, they did that, but like, it's not a scoop.
Well, it is a scoop because it's a scoop because they got the interview. Getting an interview with Prince Andrew at that time for an hour. Or whatever it was.
I guess, yeah.
It's an incredible scoop.
I guess I think of Scoop as like your breaking news.
But the difference is, it's not. It implies that there was like, the movie implies that there was like all, and again, maybe this happened, that there's all this like legwork and hard work done in the background, but like, all it really boiled down to was his press office decided to do it. And I guess there was like, there's a whole other thing which I hate in this movie, where she shows up, Billie Piper shows up to Keeley Hawes's house in the rain like a rom-com and is like, runs down there like in a mad dash at
That
her
could
house.
have happened.
Again, could have happened. But seems
feel
pretty
believable.
lame if it did. It feels like a real lame movie trope. And tells her exactly why she needs to do it at
And
this
then Keely
exact
Hawes
moment.
said, "Was it raining? I hadn't noticed."
So yeah, I
Keely
mean,
Hawes was wasted in this. wasn't she?
wasted.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Anyway,
wasted.
right, we're just being really negative
Anyway,
now.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
being really negative. Let us know what you thought of Scoop. I hope you enjoyed it more than we did. Albeit, as I said, like it was, it was a fine thing to turn on. Fine thing to turn on of an evening.
It was a fine
when
thing to
you've
turn on.
nothing else to watch, and everyone was talking about it. So come find us wherever you go online. We're at Cinemile, or come over to patreon.com/Cinemile, where we talk about a ton of TV and retro movies every month.
Yeah, and we've just done we've been watching episode where we cover off the Fallout on Prime Video, The Gentleman, Three Body Problem, Baby Reindeer. If you're watching any of those things and you want to hear us talk about them, head on to our Patreon channel and subscribe for less than the price of a cup of coffee, and or message us via email, thecinemile@gmail.com, or we're on Letterboxd, YouTube, or Instagram at thecinemile.
Bye.
Bye.
I thought that all went very well.
All across the world, every paper, on every news channel, this is the story.
Go away!
This is only going to get bigger.
This interview, does it matter?
Yeah, it matters.